Hi, my name is Wellington. I'm a developer advocate here at Deskree. In this video, we're going to continue talking about workflows, but this time focusing more on context. Let's dig into it. Good. Now, let's talk about context. The first context we're going to talk about is the context response. So let me just create a new workflow here and show you how it works. So we can do npx, non-SQL, latest, create workflow. And we then put a workflow name. Let's create context response demo. Awesome. We already have it here created. Now let's take a look at it. Here you can see that we have our workflow created. And let me just give an example here using the mapper. Mapper is a node that comes within the examples that basically returns any JavaScript you might add within your workflow. So let's just add this one here. Let me go into index just to see the name of this node. Okay, we call it mapper. Great. Now we can go back here, add this as the first node, and then we put here mapper. Great. Now that we did this, all we have to do is put the inputs we have for it. Let me just copy it from another place here real quick. Let me just check. I think we had that on the manager. Yeah, we do. So it's a create response, and that's how we got it. We got here the inputs and the model. Let me just copy this part. Let's go back here and let me just change this one here. Okay, good. The name of it's going to be first node. Great. Now that we have the inputs here, we have total, results, and query, right? In this case, let's just use not this one, but let's use just this total here. We can leave the name as it is. That's not a problem. And then here on the context, we have context, response, data. And well, to be honest, what we're going to do is we're not going to use anything here, but we're going to basically assign some total. Let's say we have 100 here. It's a string in this case, right? And then let's just duplicate this. Oh, my bad. Let's just duplicate this one here real quick. And then we call this second node. It's also a mapper. What we do then, we just copy this first node here. And we just add this, and let's add the second node. Great. Now that we have the second node, what I'm going to do, I'm going, instead of basically calling this total again, let's do this is as results. And then what we are going to do, we're going to add this basically dollar sign within the brackets, and we are going to just do context response dot data dot total in this case. Great. Now what happens if we run this guy? So let me just run this npm run that. Great. Perfect. So as soon as we go to another terminal and we can localhost 4000, and then let's add the name of our workflow context response demo, and we can see that we got an object with the name results and 100. That's the main idea here. Basically, at the end of the day, the context response data is always going to get the context from the previous node. That's it. That's how you can use it. And when you are using an array, for example, so let's say instead of passing here 100, we pass here an array of strings. So let's use this example here: 100, 100, and 300. So what we can do in this case, basically, there's another way for us to get access to this. If we try to run this again, we got the results, we got the 100, 200, 300, but it's a string that is being returned. How can we return this as an array? Basically, what you have to do, you just have to basically use the same variable here, but the change you're gonna do is gonna put js dash in front of it. Sorry, slash in front of it. So js slash and then context response data total. As soon as we do this and recur, now we are getting a property object within an array inside of it. So that's how you can also use this notation js here in front of it, or when you want to return a real object, not a string, and you want to return an array, that's how you do it, right? You can now also always return the whole data. So anything that might be in here, so let's say total results as well. We can not results. Let's do something like, I don't know, number of students, right? And pass a number here, right? Something like that. And then as soon as we do this, even though we're calling this results, it doesn't matter. We can call this anything else, anything, right? As soon as we do this and we want to return what is going on here, here is basically return the whole object, as you can see within the number of students as well. So you can basically return everything that is inside your previous context response data. It does the whole thing, right? So that's another way of working with this, and this is how the context response works. Now let's do the same here for the context request. The context request will contain any HTTP request details. So we have the body in case it's a post or put, right? We have the method, we have the headers, right? So basically the idea here is that you could use any of the context requests that is available within any of your nodes, right? So for instance, let's create a new workflow here. Let's call this one EX CTL latest create workflow. Let's put the name here as context request demo. Great. Then now we have it. Now let's open it to request demo. Great. We can do the same. We can copy this one here. We just changed the name for requests. That's it. Awesome. So we have the same mappers that we have there. The difference is now I'm gonna put this as sorry, put as a post, and then in this case I will basically change this for just the first node. We won't need the second one for this one. Great. Second node, we can remove this guy. Awesome. And now let's work within just our total here. In this total, what I want to do is I want the user to pass that within the body. So I just need to let's say it's just a string. So context requests dot body. Great. Awesome. So as soon as I do this and I save it, what is going to happen is that when we make occur and we say in this word that we are aiming to stream co-host 4000 context west demo, and then we're gonna pass whatever we want to pass on the body. So we're gonna just pass here x post, and then we pass http localhost 4000, the name of our request demo here, and then we pass here age, just if you want to pass here the content type, right? And then in this case application JSON, and then we're gonna basically pass here the body that we want to pass. So body, and then we pass here the body want to do. So test, right? That's it. We close here the bracket. Let's test this. Okay, let me see where I got this error from. I think it's the contents I shared I didn't close. Let me check that. Body tests. Seems to be quite right. Oh, I know why. So I can't use this without passing here this. Great. Awesome. So context request body. Oh, I forgot to close here. That's why it's not working. Boom. We got an object. So what you need to do in this case, just post the JS here, pass it all, and then we can do it again. Great. Now we can see we got an object within total, within the body text. You can also, since it says string, you can just put the dot total here at the end. You can use the previous notation here. Let's use that so you can see that working, and let's test it. We got undefined. Oh, because I'm not passing this as something else. Okay, no problem. So the main idea is just so we can just get the information we are passing here. So that's it. Okay, cool. We got the body and the body here within the total. So that's awesome. We see that is working. You can also use this within, for example, the method. So we can see in our preview context here documentation that we have also the methods, right? So we have the methods over here, HTTP method. So you can always use context request method, and then within that, if we basically call this, we can see that we got a post from within. So that's how it works. That's amazing how you can use this. And the cool part of it is that you can have a lot of ways of using this within our if else, for example, that is a built-in node. So if you go to the DB manager example, you'll see that we have here, we are basically accepting any methods. We have an optional parameter here for function, and then we have an if else here. If else is basically checking using the request method and also the lowercase method from JavaScript to check if it's a get and if the params that are coming from within the request is undefined. If that's the case, we're gonna basically enter this if condition, and the steps within this if condition condition is the get tables here, Postgres query module, right? And then we have another condition. Oh, I'm sorry, this is a different if, this is another if. And then after all those ifs, within all those steps, we then have the names of the nodes and the inputs that we're gonna basically be returning, right? So that's the whole idea here. Is to basically return. In this case, for example, this first if that we are seeing here, we are only returning this stuff. So we are only returning the database UI. If we search for it, you're gonna see that we have the database UI here. We have no inputs, so we are just returning a front end. That's it. That's the main thing that is happening, right? So if you open the browser and you put the localhost 4000 DB manager and you put nothing else, no parameters at all, what is going to happen is that it is going to call this node, and this node is going to return an HTML. So you're gonna see something on the front end. So that's how you can use the context request within NFLs as well. So that's another option for you. Now let's go for the last example here, that is the context vars. How do we use that? So I got one of our examples, that is the country's example. Okay, and let's add another mapper here. So same thing here, we just add, the name, just add everything else. And in this case, I forgot to mention, but I added this set underlining var true here as one of the properties inside the steps here. So as you can see, we have the non-source yes API call that basically does an API call, right? In this case, it's doing an API call here to URL. And what we have here, I'm just adding the mapper, and in this mapper, let me put this as mapper and the name of it mapper. Great. So let's add a second one. I always forget that I don't have this, so let me just type it. Same thing. Now we just need another name. So let's call this result. Is also using the node mapper. Great, perfect. So how the context var works. The context var is going to get the output from within this get countries here. And let's see that in action. So if I put here my mapper, let's just paste what I have in here. So I'm adding the mapper that I'm using here. I'm adding inputs, I'm adding the model, and then in this case, I'm returning any variable here. I can put any name here as well. And in this case here, I'm returning the context vars get countries API. So why do I pass this get countries API here? You can see that is this the name that I'm using here in the steps. That's why I pass this. If I don't pass it and I'm just basically call this on score HB localhost 4000 countries. As soon as I do this, it says defined for the inputs. Let me check that real quick. Oh, because I'm passing third one here. I'm just remove this for now, and then let's call it. As you can see, it is returning the whole thing, get countries API here, right? So it returns all the vars. So if I have any other node that I'm saving the current var, as a variable there, it's going to display all of that. So that's not what we want here. What we want here is that that's why we have here the get countries API. So we pass this over here so we can understand that we are using this variable that we saved using our set var here, right? That's the main idea. And within that, what we're going to do is just call this again. And okay, I forgot one more time. Let me just remove this one more time and call it. Cool. Now I have all those countries coming back from my API call there. So let's say I just want the data from it, right? Because as I can see here, I have inside this object and data object. What is going to happen? So if we do this, then we can see, okay, now I get only the countries. Now, if I try to do just error, that we saw that before. So if I call it, then we can see that it's false. The error is false. So the idea is that I can use this later, right? So in this context, there's no need for this. So let's also go back and add our third mapper there. And let's say that in this mapper here, all we are doing, we are just basically returning the response data from the API call there. Cool, awesome. And in this third module, what I'm going to do, let me go, we have the map right here. Let me just copy this guy, paste it again, and let's call this one results. And same name we have here. Great. Now, if we do the same thing we did before, JS, context.var, get countries API, you're going to see we are getting the same result from we got from here, right? The first node that we are calling. And to make sure this is the case, I'm not getting from the previous mapper, I'm going to remove this entirely. So let's call this change. Let's go and let's say it's 0. So just to confirm that we are not getting anything from this guy, right? So we have here 0, and then I will call this again, and you can see we have the countries. And to make sure we're getting from the first one there, I can play with this. I can say just get the error from it. So yeah, you can see it returns false. So the whole idea of the context vars is for you to be able to use the output from a node that is at the start of their chain, or maybe you want to use this later within the end. It's the idea is just to save that data temporarily so you can use that later within the same workflow in the same run. So it doesn't save like a database or anything like that. No, that's not the case here. What it happens is just this saving this variable within your whole node execution within the workflow, and that can be used later. That's the idea. You can use the results from within your first node if you want to later within your workflow. For complex workflows, that's amazing. It helps a lot. So yeah, that's basically it. So that's it for today. That's mainly the idea that I want to pass with you. How you can use the context, what is the context request, what is the context response, and the context vars, and how you can use that within the workflow. I hope you like it. Please subscribe to the channel as always. Don't forget to check out our community on Discord. It's down here on the description. And please leave your comments, and I hope to see you in the next video. See ya.